What is the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, and what are the 8 reasons real estate photographers should join the Urban Immersive Franchise Network? Stay tuned. Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, September 15th, 2022, and you're watching WGAN TV live at 5. We have an awesome show for you today. 8 reasons real estate photographers should join the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. And here to talk to us about that is Francois Hughes Leberge. Hey, Francois, thanks for being on the show again.
My pleasure, Dan. How are you?
Awesome. So looking forward to today's topic. You are Urban Immersive VP Business Development and Partnerships, and the go-to for the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. Before we jump into today's topic, how about taking our viewers through what is Urban Immersive as of today?
Well, today, Urban Immersive is like a publicly traded company that was established in 2007. We have around 160 employees right now, mostly with a tech-oriented service company. That's the best way to sum it up. We have our own 3D technology. We have our own platform also for real estate photographers, our own business solutions. So that's why we have everything service-oriented to help serve real estate photographers.
And Urban Immersive in the last 15 months acquired 8 real estate photography agencies.
Exactly. We did acquire a few ones, a lot of them in Canada, a few of them in the United States, and even one in Mexico. So we acquired the different sizes of photography agencies, but photography agencies that are well established in their market, and we're helping out to improve with our systems.
So why does that acquisition of those 8 large photography agencies matter, or perhaps how did that then inspire Urban Immersive Franchise Network?
We tested, like it allowed us to test our direct customer services and tech directly with the customers. So with that, with the end user pretty much, if we keep it that way. So with that, we saw that our systems, different systems that we'll talk to you about later on, were able to help improve the real estate photography business. And we saw, so it was sort of a lab that we did. So we said, going forward, what do we want to do? Do we want to still keep buying companies, or we want to have a broader network? So we thought the franchising those services would be the best way for us to help our customers, who are real estate photographers, but because many of them would like to come on board, but maybe not want to sell their businesses. So we thought that could be the in-between sweet spot for us to be able to help them out, so they keep stability business and still have access to our services and our technology.
Awesome. Francois, really, I should ask you this open-ended question. I sign up as a franchisee. What is the Urban Immersive Franchise Network? What do I get?
Yes. There's different things. First of all, there's a philosophy behind it. We don't want to take your business. We want to improve your business. So right now, there's a big consolidation happening in the real estate photography market. So we want to help the photographer help improve his business and be part of a broader company with allowing him or her the chance to still keep what's their success with their businesses and to be able to remain themselves, pretty much.
So I'm going to ask you about success a little bit later on and helping photographers succeed faster, but I really want to have something I can get my hands around in terms of, okay, what are the services of an Urban Immersive Franchise Network?
Yes. The good thing, services that they can have, and again, if we go again with the corporate franchises that we had, it's a full scope of services. So, and the franchisee would have the same services that our corporate franchises have. So with that, because what we want them is photographers love to be photographers, but they don't like the marketing, they don't like the managing part of it. So we want them to remain themselves. Like, we let you be you. That's pretty much it. So with that, we'll want to help take care of everything that's around that. So when you talk about invoicing, ordering, payment processing, marketing, all that, we'll take care of that for them. Payroll also, defining zone travel fees, all that. That's our system will allow them to not worry about that anymore, and we'll be able to help them with that.
So I'm going to ask some follow-up questions
Yes.
about that, but I think it's probably helpful to know that Urban Immersive, through its TourBuzz platform, provides around 10 different services: 3D tours, UI Meet 3D, 2D floor plans, interactive floor plans, single property websites, media delivery, creation of flyers, photo editing, HDR, image processing. I think for anyone that's tuning in today's show to find out about franchise, it's probably helpful to see part one of our discussion first. So you and I did a show at WGAN TV Live at 5. The title was Real Estate Photographer Pros: Intro to Urban Immersive Real Estate Photography Services. And that episode aired back on June 9th, 2022. To find that episode, go to the We Get Around Network forum, WGANforum.com. Right up at the top is a tab that says WGAN TV Podcast, and search for episode 148, or simply Google WGAN TV Podcast Intro to Urban Immersive Real Estate Photography Services. So we weren't, on today's show, we weren't planning to talk about what all those services are, because we actually did an hour-long show about it. But you started to talk about some things that we haven't talked about that are actually unique and specific to the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. The ERP platform you mentioned, the Enterprise Resource Platform, which integrates all the business processes for a photographer service business. So I'm just going to highlight the titles of what I'm going to ask you about: booking, scheduling, invoicing, delivery, customer support, nationwide marketing campaign, lead generation, Prime subscription program, keep your own brand. So that's a lot to cover in today's show. And I just thought I'd begin with the ERP platform and help me understand. Maybe you could give an example of how that's totally integrated for a real estate photographer with clients.
Yes. So the way our ERP, like our business solution, so ERP, the photographer franchisee will have access to that. So their customers will be there. So that will allow their customers to go online and order. And it's just like not just simple online ordering, we'll also have instant booking. A lot of people sometimes, even an agency that we've purchased, that we're really say my customers don't want to order online, they really want to talk to somebody. And even those who have an online ordering system, there's always an interaction, because you just ask for the customer request for a booking, but there's no confirmation. The way our system goes, we have guaranteed hours. So online, they'll be able to order directly on the customer. Real estate agent will go online, order his booking right away, his services and booking, and we'll have an instant confirmation at, okay, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. So that way, why it's so popular is that there's no interaction. So that way, people are really encouraged to go online, because they'll know that they'll be able at night. The real estate agent has a busy day, goes back at night, goes on the platform and orders his booking for tomorrow without having to wait for confirmation. He has instant confirmation. And the way our system works is it will build the schedule for the photographer. And if an agency has multiple photographers, again, there'll be zone on which they cover. So that's the basic zone. If you go outside that zone, there are travel fees that can be applied. If they have multiple services, let's say drone services, and one photographer doesn't offer it, but the real estate agent wants drones, then there'll be a limitation in the photographers you can choose from within this agency. So they'll be only able to choose with the ones that have that can offer the drones. So it's really a system that's foolproof, and that it's really, really efficient, really powerful for that. And instead of having to be, okay, what's my schedule tomorrow, and work on it and work around kind of things, this will be built automatically. So it gives the photographer a lot more liberty and a lot less headaches to take care of that scheduling.
So let's unpack that because you said a whole lot in a short period of time. So I could imagine that some photographers might say, well, I'm used to the process of doing emails, of doing text, and the client tells me the services they want, and then I give them a price, and then we go back and forth, and then we figure out a time. So I suspect what Urban Immersive has done, particularly with the 8 large photography agencies, is to say, hey, there really is a process that will result in far more business and business operating efficiency by using a Urban Immersive platform. And so if we break it down a little bit, I could imagine first is well, how do you know when either I as a photographer are available or I and our team members? Is that syncing to a Google Calendar?
Yes, it could be synced to say Google Calendar, exactly. Yes.
So that's literally the easiest way is as long as there's not something blocked out in my calendar or my photographer's calendar, then that time is available. And so if I don't want to shoot before 10 a.m., I need to make sure that my Google Calendar is blocked out 10 a.m. Before 10 a.m. after 6 p.m.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So I get that in terms of how you know availability of the photographers. Then how do you do pricing? Because sometimes pricing, I'm presuming it's not Urban Immersive pricing, it's the photographer's pricing.
The pricing will be priorly established, though. Like we'll have to work with the photographer to integrate the pricing into the ERP. So with that, everything will be there. For sure, if there's items that need to be adjusted afterwards, the note will be there. They'll see the pricing. So this amount will be charged afterwards because depending on square footage of the property or the amount of pictures will be taken. But usually our system is pretty seamless. So it's really simple. And we're trying to narrow it down to simple packages.
Okay, so the photographer to begin the onboarding process might say, this is how I charge for photos, for video, for 3D tour, for floor plans, for single property websites, for edited photos, for aerial, for painted rocks, whatever the services are that the photographer offers and what the pricing is. And it sounds like Urban Immersive may suggest some packages.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's a conversation back and forth in the onboarding process because the photographer actually does have the pricing that they want to charge in their market.
Exactly, because every market is different. Yes.
And can that vary by photographer as well within the agency, or is
also, that? Yeah, it can be, but we don't recommend it. Usually, it's like per agency. So,
And can that pricing be both public and private? What I mean by that is here's the public pricing for new clients. Here is the private link for pricing for my existing clients.
They have like a customer has an account, and into this account, we could, if they have some promos or some discounts, that could be applied over there. So they would know it.
Okay. So because this question comes up a lot in the We Get Around Network forum is I don't really want to increase my prices. My clients are loyal. I've had them for a long time. I'm happy. They're happy. I don't want to rock the boat. But I always think about, well, your next incremental business you ought to be charging more. So the Urban Immersive Franchise Network ERP platform allows for different pricing by account.
Exactly. But yeah, and the price for standard service will be the same, but we can apply some discounts on that.
Okay, so even the photographer wants to offer a coupon code or some other
or
promo mechanism, yes. There is that opportunity as well.
Yes.
Okay. So and then I would imagine that where a potential customer is going is on the photographer's website, not on the Urban Immersive website, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So
that's what we're providing, though, with the initial investment that the photographer will do to join our network. We'll provide them with a website, and that website will be a standardized website that will allow also for the marketing purposes for us to track when their customers are visiting their website, which pages they have visited and all that. And we'll provide them with that info with our CRM that's built in the platform. So with that will allow us and allow the different franchisee to have like a a better system to implement everything that we'll be providing them with.
Okay. So this opens up another question here. So it's not that Urban Immersive is providing an embeddable widget. Urban Immersive is providing a turnkey website that is branded with the photographer's branding.
Exactly. Yeah.
That may say, does it say powered by Urban
It'll
Immersive?
be an Urban Immersive franchisee, yes, that will be mentioned. Yes. Yeah.
I missed what that is.
Urban Immersive franchisee, yes.
An official Urban Immersive franchisee. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the photographer has an existing website. I can imagine there could be a little bit of friction there about, well, we've been working so hard. We've tweaked our website. We've got it where we're happy. You're asking me to switch websites. I imagine the first is that once the website goes live, the website, help me out here, is I'm a marketing person, not a geek, or I'm geeky, but not a tech. There's an IP address, and it's a simple
URL,
process.
yes.
It's a simple process to just redirect all the
Exactly.
traffic that's been going to WeGetAroundNetwork.com to WeGetAroundNetwork.com.
It could be still WeGetAroundNetwork.com. It could be that we just change the website and that's it.
Okay,
That's
so
an
there's a little bit of
process.
magic takes place in the background.
Exactly.
I don't have to understand that. Urban Immersive does
We'll
that
take care
for
of
me.
it.
That's
Yes.
part of the service.
Exactly.
So help me out. Why, if I've got all this energy and effort to create a website, I should do this act of faith to say Urban Immersive is actually going to provide a professionally designed website. What's the advantages of doing that?
There's two advantages. Like the first one being, it's a marketing powerhouse because we're tracking with those websites, we'll be able to track all the action generated by the website. So if we have specific landing pages, if we have promos or just like standard pages, we can have call to actions also with that. There'll be a lot more involvement on our side, marketing wise, to help create lead generation. So if we have a customer that's been on a website 5 times on the service pages or contact page, and we'll provide the franchisee with that, and you can check, okay, that customer has not reached out, then reach out then. Go. So that's the marketing power of that is really worth it. And also because all the websites will be more standardized, but always branded to the photographer name and all that, but still like it will remain about the same. So people will know that, okay, they're part of a network, part of a bigger thing. So they'll know by, okay, if I deal with a franchisee, that's what I'll expect to. So as our network grows, the standardized website will just make, okay, that's professional. I know where I am.
Okay. And it sounds like with Urban Immersive Franchise Network maintaining the photographer's website, then it's a little bit easier to globally change what may be appropriate for whatever reason. But
if we come up with new models and new features, it'll be a lot, like you said, a lot more easier to implement. Then okay, go back to your web developer. We'll have to talk. Is that way? It's a lot easier for it to integrate new processes, new features.
If I have an outside, excuse me, if I have an outside developer web person, is the assumption is that I won't have that expense going forward because really Urban Immersive will take that over?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So one less thing to worry.
Okay. So Urban Immersive maintains the website. It's customized to the extent that it's based on the services the photographer offered. So if the photographer doesn't want to offer aerial, perfectly fine, that module doesn't get implemented.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So, and then when you go to schedule, so can you talk a little bit about this real-time scheduling? What happens?
Okay.
Client comes to the website.
Goes to the website. There's a little button, order now, places the order. Goes into the menu, pops up, gets the credentials in to log into his account, chooses the service he wants. Then we go to the then once that is established, okay, now he gets some information about the property, address of the property, services has been established by he chose that before, which photographer he wants to deal with if there's many photographers in that agency. And then everything's calculated automatically. And then with that, we can say, okay, those are the times that are offered to you. So with that, you can go directly and choose the time that they want, and they'll receive, like I said, instant booking confirmation with the guaranteed hour.
So
So
from the real estate agent's perspective is when they hit the page and they say, oh, okay, I need photos, video, a 3D tour, a single property website. I don't want aerial. Yeah, I would like a video from then am I picking a la carte as a real estate agent? Am I picking a package? I'm looking at here's 3 packages, that's the package I want.
usually we work with packages, but there's a la carte also option, but that depends on what the photographer wants to offer.
Okay. So part of the services that Urban Immersive Franchise Network is providing is the expertise, having worked with 8 large photography agencies, essentially as the first franchise clients. They just happen to be, let's call it, company-owned stores, that you kind of already know what
works,
packages you're going to have the most success with.
Exactly.
So actually, that's the extent business advice to a client to say, hey, these are the packages you might want to consider.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine that the amount of time that it takes to do a job in Atlanta is different than LA, is different than New York. So is there some back-end arrangement where I, as a busy, successful professional photographer, and I know how much time I want to take for each of those services, that I get to specify, allow this much time?
Yes, but we'll know exactly, because there'll time will be allowed, like you said, for every package, like except for travel time. Like usually we know 35 pictures takes about that amount of time, 25 pictures takes about that amount of time. So we know that, but we'll vary also to make sure that it's a schedule that's livable and that they can deliver.
Okay. So real estate agent places an order. Then what happens from the real estate agent's perspective, from the owner of the photography agency perspective, and if there's a photographer that's different than the owners, 3 different audiences, maybe there's even more. Can you take us through that?
Yeah. They will all receive a confirmation. So the good thing, real estate agents goes tonight out to see a prospective customer. They give him the listing. Perfect. Goes back to the office. Then at 10 o'clock can schedule on his phone, can directly book his service. I need the 25 pictures, 3D tour, video, all that. Then goes online, orders it, schedules it for 2 days from now at 10 o'clock in the morning. Perfect. Then he receives a confirmation and he can choose a photographer. If there's multiple photographers, like I really want to deal with Dan because he's my favorite photographer. Perfect. Dan is available. Cool. So he books everything. So then he'll receive a confirmation. And Saturday, 10 o'clock, Dan will be there at your house at this time. He'll be there to take photographies for those services. The owner will receive confirmation. Okay, perfect. That has been booked. And the photographer will receive also notifications like, okay, you have a shooting on the Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Okay. So a photographer shows up, shoots the job. Then what happens?
But then it's a regular process. He goes back to his office and downloads everything through our systems like a regular photographer does. So with that,
I want to say it's maybe a little bit different if you're self-employed presently and you're editing your own pictures and
then we want for services. Then that part will be a bit different, though. Exactly.
Okay.
Depending on
I suspect this is a huge difference of what Urban Immersive Franchise Network offers versus perhaps how photographers presently operate. Because if you're presently outsourcing photo editing to one company, single property website to another company, HDR to another company, getting floor plans from another company, I suspect that one of the advantages of working with Urban Immersive, it's one company offers a suite of solutions that typically a busy professional real estate photographer needs, so that you don't have to outsource and keep track of multiple things. And then all that essentially is one platform. So I presume the photographer is uploading the photos to Urban Immersive, uploading the 3D tour to Urban Immersive, and so forth.
Yeah,
which,
exactly. Yeah.
Which I presume is then building a single property website.
And that's, yeah, if you want to get, like, if you sum up the scope of services that we'll be offering our franchisees, like they're divided in two categories. Like the basic ones that comes with the ERP pretty much are services that they know that they're used to have with our TorBuzz platform, which are single property websites, image delivery, real estate videos. That will be included standard with the like the first sign of services that they'll get for the pictures they have taken. Plus that, what we're offering is a cost plus service for add-on services. So for everything like 3D tours, photo editing, floor plans, that will be a cost plus. So customers that already have are using our TorBuzz platform actually will pay less than what they're paying right now. And they'll be able to know, okay, that, and it's a direct cost. It's not like cost of management and all that, just direct cost. Okay, like if you buy a car from Ford, you would only pay what it costs to manufacture the car. That's it. No R&D, no private quality control, all that. Just like the standard cost related to that product. So that's what we're charging them. So cost plus for those photo editing and 3D tours, floor plans.
Okay. So, and then invoicing. So the client gets the single property website delivered, gets their content delivered. So who's sending the invoice and how is that generated?
Exactly. So with that, the invoice will be generated automatically into our ERP platform. So when the customer orders it, everything once the job is done, like everything will be charged to the customer. So automatically, so you don't have to manually invoice them or do the invoice afterwards. And we'll take care also of all the payments processing. We'll take care of it. So that's one less fee for the for photographer. They won't have any credit card fees. We'll take care of it. That's included in our package.
Is everything handled by credit card, or do you accept checks? Do you accept ACH payments, PayPal?
Yes, but usually credit cards what's most like people prefer. Are there also we can offer a line of credit, so they'll pay at the end of the month. They'll pay for that.
So even receiving checks is a function of the urban
checks. Actually, no. It has to be like if any digital payments. Yes, we'll take
any
care of it.
digital payment.
Exactly.
So that might be you still might go to a screen and enter your bank account to do an ACH transfer or credit card.
Exactly.
Or PayPal or other electronic payments.
PayPal, no, I'm not sure. I have to check for PayPal,
Okay.
but usually that's not something that has been requested a lot for on our part. So
Okay.
usually credit card and transfers.
Okay, so the idea is to streamline
Exactly.
workflow, and frankly, if most real estate agents being self-employed probably have a credit card that earns them points,
Exactly.
and maybe as a photographer you haven't been accepting credit cards because you didn't want to pay the fee. That's included as part of the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, so
Exactly.
you're not incurring a credit card fee, and it's giving the points on the credit card to the client. Airline points, hotel points, whatever it might be. Okay.
And also, if you have multiple photographers, our ERP will calculate the payroll like for those photographers. So we can personalize the payroll per photographer. This one's more experienced, so you pay him more for shooting. This one has less experience, so he gets a different wage. So we can calculate everything, and we'll tell you what the amount of check that has to be done for that photographer.
Okay, and is two questions on the payroll. Is that both in the United States? Is that for W-9 and for 1099, an independent contractor? So does the platform support both kinds?
Both, yes.
Both kinds. And then the actual checks that get cut, you're doing all the calculations about. Help me if I misstate something, but do you tell what the withholdings are as well, or just the gross amount of the payment?
Yes, we're working to get the net amount, the gross amount for sure, but the net amount, we're working on it. Depending on the involved, like and the states that where we're at right now, yes, we do. But while we'll open the franchise in this different state, then we'll get that for them also.
Okay, it's probably worth pointing out that the Urban Immersive just launched the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. You literally just this month, September, and you have back-end clients already, which are essentially the company-owned franchise stores. So you're still figuring out what the internal clients would like, and in terms of beyond gross, meaning do they want the net numbers for doing payroll or some other mechanism? Or
Exactly.
okay, so customer support.
Yes. Customer support, that's an option that photographers can get from us if they want. We'll take care of everything.
What does that mean? We'll take care of everything.
So then any phone calls that comes in, emails, that will take care of for any reasons, booking issues, quality, technological issues, like how does that 3D tour works and all that. We could take care of that for the photographer. So every request for customers will go through us. So
if I want to keep that module and have the customer contact for, I can, and if I'm ready to give it up, then I have that option too.
Exactly. The way I see it, I think, is get on board, come, and so we'll learn each other. We'll learn to know each other, and then after that, in phase 2, you can, if you want, go further with us. Then we can take care of customer support for you. For me, because the relationship with the customer is important for a photographer, and we want the photographers to keep that, to still have that relationship. But sometimes there's little questions that are not as important, but important, yes, but like a different level of importance. So that way, that like the day-to-day customer support, then we can take care of that. Also for deliveries, we can take care of deliveries when the pictures are ready, edited, 3D tours ready, and all that. We could take care of in customer support. We could take care of deliveries of those products to customers.
Again, just point out, one of the services that Urban Immersive does is photo editing, is enhanced images. So
exactly.
if you want to upload those images to the Urban Immersive platform, then in terms of delivery, Urban Immersive can easily handle that.
That's it. Exactly. So that would be part of the customer service option. National
marketing campaign.
Yes. There's two different levels of marketing that we'll be offering. The first one will be national marketing. So we'll target large audiences of real estate, realtors associations, or bigger campaigns and with that, we'll cover AdWords campaigns, social posts, email campaigns, magazines, television, promotional video, and other related marketing items for that. And also we'll provide a new franchisee with a launch marketing campaign. So with that, so they can broadcast on their social media for the first month, saying, okay, as of today, Dan is a Urban Immersive franchisee. And then for the coming month, explaining what changes with that and what benefits your customers will get from that. So then we'll explain the online booking. It's the booking, 3D tours or Prime subscription, and we can get to that early afterwards. So with that, we'll explain different things that those customers will get as benefits as from their photographer becoming an Urban Immersive franchisee.
So I think what I'm hearing, two things. One is for the photographer that retains their own brand, with a member of the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. The Urban Immersive Franchise Network will do national marketing. I'm going to ask you about leads in a second. The presumption is the national marketing is to generate inbound leads.
Yes.
The second is that Urban Immersive Franchise Network will provide digital assets that the local photographer can use in their social media, in their email blasts, in any touch points that they have with clients or potential clients. And those digital assets are just provided by the Urban Immersive Franchise Network. So exactly. If you do national marketing, when you do your national marketing campaign, tell me about potential leads as a member of the Urban Immersive Franchise Network.
Yes. There'll be two different national marketing campaigns. Like the first one being really national campaign, just for marketing purposes, like you said, and with trying to get the attention of realtor on a bigger basis. And then when they'll get to us, we'll distribute them to our franchisee that is in their area. If there's more than one franchisee in one area, we'll go in like a round robin kind of process. So the first one will get like, we'll get one to the first one, then the second one will go to the second one, the third one. So to make sure that everybody gets leads, because for us, it's important to be as fair as possible for that. And if there's only one franchisee, then we'll get the leads from in that area. And our corporate franchises also will be considered as a franchise, so they won't have more advantages than the other ones. They'll be on the same level as the a franchise that comes in.
Okay, so
and also we'll get national accounts. So if we get some deals with national brands that are from coast to coast, then with that, and that's what our network, the power of a network is pretty much that, is to be able to go see brands, national brands, the same. We have boots on the ground in every market in the US or Canada, and then like we'll be able to help serve their network of realtors, or if it's short-term rental or things like that. So we'll be there for you, and we can cover every market. So with that, when those leads come in, then again we'll distribute them through our network of franchisees.
So that's a little subtle. Let me see if I can ask that parse that out a little bit differently. So let's say there's there are large national brands that do not want to place orders with 150 photographers in 37 states. They want to go to one company and have that one company manage the entire process.
Yeah.
So what happens then? Are you going back to the photographer and asking what they charge, or do you go back and say, this is what we pay and we have an opportunity for this specific in your market?
We know that prices could be different from one market to the other, depending on, like you said, cost of labor, travel distances, and all that. So then we know there could be some regional differences. But of course, if we get those kind of deals with one large account, we could have like a special pricing for that customer. And the power of our business solution, our piece, is we can create a profile for this customer that could be for all the franchisees. So that way we'll get to them. Okay, is that interesting for you to serve as a provider? And usually, like, we have like our own corporate franchises that'll be there also. So that's why we'll make sure it's a deal that could be a win-win for everybody, the customer and our franchisees and us. So
there's sort of kind of two different kinds of leads. There are leads that come in that get parsed out to the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, and it's the local pricing. It's up to the photographer to take the lead and convert it into a sale.
Yes.
And then the second kind is, this is actual business that probably pays a specific rate, and there's I think of it as a project card. You get to a national account, you could have 2 pages of instructions that says, okay, we need 35 photos, and those photos, 10 of them we need to have them of this and 5 of them of this, and make sure you get that. And then we need so it's really a very specific package of what they're looking for.
Yes.
So I would imagine the photographer would know that there is an opportunity in their market. Here is the project card for that potential client. May not reveal who the client is, but here's that project card, and here's what that project pays. And then if that makes sense, you're making essentially how to say this, Urban Immersive Franchise Network is acting as the
almost a broker. It's like
well, it actually may
really,
not really be a broker. You're really one point of contact,
a dispatcher
place that you send to the client, but you're handling all the deliverables are going to Urban Immersive to then deliver to the client.
Exactly.
Okay. Prime subscription.
Yes. The Prime subscription is something we came out with last spring, and we had great success with it. It's the same thing as a Prime subscription from Amazon. So you know what you get with that. So with that, a Prime subscription, customers that order a Prime member who becomes a member for that, then when they order as pre-established packages, they'll be able to get 3D tours, 3D floor plans, single property websites, and flyers in every order that they do. So the good thing for that is for a photographer, it's a recurring revenue because it's a monthly subscription.
Okay. So
So, yeah.
so that actually leads us into what are the 8 reasons. So in fact, before I get to the 8 reasons, are there any other features of the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, the stuff, the deliverables that a photographer gets?
I think we covered them pretty
Covered
much.
it.
Yeah, we covered it.
And we covered a lot because I
Yes.
think it's actually about 20 plus different things. So I'm gonna go through a list, and if it's possible and you catch something I don't say, please add it to the list. But
Yes.
as a photographer working with the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, Urban Immersive offers 3D tours, UI Meet 3D, that's the live guided tour within the 3D tours, 2D floor plans, interactive floor plans, single property website, media delivery, a tool for creating flyers from the digital assets, photo editing, HDR image editing, an ERP platform. That ERP platform consists of booking, scheduling, invoicing, delivery, customer support, an optional feature, being
Payroll.
part of a national marketing campaign for generating potential inbound leads and also potentially generating national accounts that Urban Immersive Franchise Network can ask members if they want to opt in to participate in order for Urban Immersive to do one order, multiple markets, one invoice, one point of contact, and then Prime subscription program, which sounds like, did I leave anything out of that list?
No, it's
Okay.
nicely
So-
covered.
Okay, so that leads us to now that we know what the components of the Urban Immersive Franchise Network includes, what are the 8 reasons real estate photographers should join the Urban Immersive Franchise Network? And you've provided those 8 to me, but I'm going to ask you to embellish.
Yeah.
Create recurring revenue streams.
Yes. So with that, with the Prime package that we just talked about, that's a Prime subscription for a customer, and then we can establish the price, but usually it's around $30 a month that a real estate agent will pay for. So with that revenue will assure, like I say, a recurring revenue that comes every month if they place orders or not. The good thing with that is it allows the real estate agent to be more loyal to a photographer because they know by dealing with you, because they have a Prime subscription, on every tour, that every listing that they get, they'll get the like I said earlier, 3D tour, 3D floor plans, single property websites, and flyers. So they know they'll get that with their pictures. So with that, instead of, you'll get the photographer that offers that, what we see is they're the go-to photographer for the real estate agent. So because most of them have like their preferred photographer, they always have another in backup. So instead of going 60-40 with that, usually they go for 80-20 towards their preferred photographer. So it's a nice way to ensure loyalty of your customers. And we saw that we did some marketing with that, and we saw that the impact of there's a great impact within their own business. Like they're tracking more the conversion rates of existing customers that go into Prime subscription is surprisingly nice, surprisingly high. And like I said, the amount of business they're bringing has improved a lot because of that.
So we all have Amazon Prime memberships. And so that's the metaphor here, that you buy an Amazon Prime membership and you get a variety of benefits, including 2-day free shipping or 1-day free shipping, and Prime cable service and 27 other features. So as a photographer, you now will be able to offer a prime package to residential real estate accounts who pay a monthly recurring fee in order to gain the benefits that are in that prime account. And there's a revenue share on that between the photographer agency and Urban Immersive
Exactly.
Franchise Network.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I know that our viewers are going to have questions about that. And certainly you can go to urbanimmersive.com, go to urbanimmersive.com/franchise. You can learn more. And you can also email the franchise team at franchiseurbanimmersive.com. I know I probably have follow-up questions, but I think I would defer to our viewers. If you got questions about how that module works, send an email, set up a Zoom call and ask your questions on that. So we've talked about that there are 8 reasons. The first is creating recurring revenue streams. Second, focus on what you love.
As we talked about with the photographers really love doing photography. They hate doing direct marketing and they hate taking care of the administrative part of their business. So that's what we want them to be, because photographers are great with the customers on site and go there, meet your customers and have fun with them in the house. But marketing, cold calls and all that with the marketing tools that we'll provide you with, that will allow you to do a lot less of those. And with the RP, everything, like I said, the petty business administration with, like I said, online booking, it's just scheduling, payroll, invoicing, that will be taken care of by us. So that's why you'll be able to focus on what you like. And that's why we want to help you with that.
So essentially, if you're a busy, successful, professional real estate photographer, you know how much operating processes there are. If you could take all those processes and outsource them, you'd have way more time for you and your other photographers to actually be out shooting, and you don't make money unless you're on site shooting. So
Exactly.
Focus on what you love. 3, join a national group while keeping your own identity.
Exactly. We want the photographers that are joining our network to keep their brand. Their brand is strong, their customers know the brand, and we want them to keep that. We just want them to announce that they're becoming a Urban Immersive franchisee, but they'll be the ones that are upfront. And with that, the good thing about that is if you look at other franchisors that are out there, like some have really good marketing pitches and all that, but it's always a marketing pitch and you have to hide behind that. As a photographer, you lose your identity, you lose your personality, and you lose your name for that. So if something goes bad or in 2 years from now, say that's not for me, you're starting from scratch. With us, at least you keep your own, like say you keep your own brand. We want the power. We think that all together we're stronger. And with that, like say every photographer that we know and we talked to so far are strong in their local market. And we just like want to build on that. We want them to bring their business to the next step by them keeping their identity and just helping them out with other services. One thing that's good is Urban Immersive, we control everything that we're offering to the photographers that will become the franchisees are our own, solely owned by us. So all the systems, we own them. So we don't rely on third parties. So 3D tours are our own 3D tours, same thing, photo editing, it's our photo editing. We have a different supplier also we can offer them, but DRP is our own solution, it's our own platform, single party websites, our own platform. So the good thing about that is if we won't do anything stupid that will hurt our franchisees, and they have an input also. If something that would like for us to develop, if it makes sense, we'll listen to them, we'll be there for them. So that's a big difference. I really see it as a big family, where each member can have a different input at the table and bring something. And we think that will go further along that way if we work all together by that, and we can enrich ourselves by the feedback that our franchisees will bring to us, and that will help just develop and refine our systems more.
4, get preferred pricing on Urban Immersive services.
Yeah, like I said briefly earlier, it's a cost plus kind of thing. So for the 3D tours, instead of being charged as a right now, let's say our customers from Tourbus that we have are ordering a service online. They have the price there. That's like a retail price. What we'll do is like it's a cost plus, like it's a direct costs that are involved related to that the post production part only that are related to producing a 3D tour in the floor plan. So they'll be able to save at least 50% of what they're paying right now, and that could be even conservative as a figure. So that way, they're like I said, when we're talking with the same boat, it's just like we'll work together with them so they can offer those services at a preferred rate because they're a member of the family. So that's why with that we're just gonna cover expenses with those offer. The same thing with photo editing. We have two different levels of photo editing, so they can choose between those two. And again, it's in-house or it's a supplier that we have, but it's something that we really control. And so that way, when we talk about earlier focus on photography, when they come back at night, they don't have to do any photo editing. We can take care of that for them.
5, get help with your marketing.
Like we said, we have, we'll be able to provide them with, we'll take care of national campaign. We'll be able to provide them with content that they can broadcast on their social media. And also there'll be an option if they want, we could really take care of marketing like one step further. And that's almost in customer support. So we could track, when we talked earlier about the website where we can track the people are going in, we could take care of that for them if they want also. So we could really be a sort of inside sales for them with that marketing.
6, protect your clients.
Okay. Every customer that a photographer has will be protected in the system. So if we publicize urbanimmersive.com, order online to all the Remax agents out there, when they'll go, if this is already a customer of one photographer, when they log into the platform, they will only see that photographer. So they're protected. So we can't, if somebody wants to go to a different photographer for any reason, we cannot say no. We cannot refuse them to do that. But what they will see though is your customers will only see you on our platform.
Urban Immersive has at least 8 photography agencies that it owns.
Yeah.
Is the photographer at risk of those agencies poaching their clients?
They will be treated like our corporate franchises will be treated as a regular franchisee. So they'll have the same protection as the other ones had. They'll be at the same level in our system. They'll be at the same level. So there won't be any risk for that. That's not our, we want our franchisee to be successful. So there'll be no reasons for us to hurt a franchisee.
I ask because there's some other companies that create some angst on this topic.
I know, and that's something we want to do. Like I said, and we really, really want to. Being 100% honest and transparent about that is, we really see that as a big family, and so we're all together. So, and our corporate franchises were like labs that allowed us to test our systems and improve our systems, so we can offer that and roll out on the bigger perspective.
7, receive potential orders from national accounts.
Yes. So when we said earlier, if we will have national accounts that we'll be dealing with, e-buyers, short-term rentals, all that. So with that, like when we'll negotiate that, like so we'll redirect them to the franchisee in every market that we have.
8, help you take care of your customer service.
Yes. So as an option, if they want, like we'll be able to take care of that for them. So we'll take care of everything that's customer related. So if customer has questions, so instead of their phone ringing at night or receiving an email at night, we'll be the ones taking care of that for them. So we'll answer a phone call because we know that photographers are on the road a lot. They go back at night, then they have like 15 emails, 10 voicemails to reply to. So then we'll be there for them and we'll take care of that during the day. So it's a hassle-free, headache-less solution for them. And with that, we know, especially because we know sometimes the questions are really simple questions like, how do I open my 3D tour? Or can I send a 3D tour to a customer? So with that, we'd be able to help the customer has those questions without the photographer being bothered by that.
Francois, we've talked about 8 reasons real estate photographers should join the Urban Immersive franchise network. what's the sweet spot for what's the ideal photographer that this program was designed for?
As you look into if when people go onto a franchise page and an end user we sent out, the photographer that we're aiming for is somebody that's already in business, already successful, but she really wants to go to the next level and wants to be part of something that's bigger than him or her. So that's what we want to offer them, is to be part of that. And like I said, not lose their identity, not lose the way they're doing business. We just want to improve that. And if you look our marketing, we're not targeting anybody. We're not saying you're only looking to start a business, come and join us. We're really saying we can offer you something. We don't want to do any babysitting. We want people that are professionals that know what photography is, but not even need help, but would like to have access to bigger systems, like to be a part of a bigger organization that will allow them to have access to services at a different rate, cheaper rates actually, than just going with different suppliers and different third parties.
Is the Urban Immersive Franchise Network better for a busy, successful professional photographer versus someone that is just entering the business?
It's for both. It's like we have in the franchises that we acquired, like the agency that we acquired a big agency that have 60 photographers. Another one that has only 2 photographers, and we serve them well, both of them. Our system are really flexible, so with that, even a smaller one will not feel that I'm too small for that. But it helps for sure if you're already in business, you just need some help, to improve your business, improve the way you work, and all that will be there for you to help you out. But somebody that's really already successful, for them, the advantages would be maybe more money-wise, so they'll be able to have access to different services cheaper than what they're having right now, because it'll be really a one-stop shop for them. As somebody who's only already starting, then we'll have more support for them. We'll be able to help them out to improve their business by the knowledge that we have, the expertise that we have.
If you just had 30 seconds to describe Urban Immersive Franchise Network to a photographer, how do you describe it?
It's really the power of a network. It's that's the main word, is the power of a network. So it's a sort of co-op where everybody brings their experience and brings their strength and power just to improve and make the benefit of the whole group for that. And we want to offer them as much services as we can and help them out with their business as much as we can.
Is there anything that we didn't cover that we should talk about?
No, I think we went. I think we went through everything. Yeah, it was really.
Again, for anyone that wants to follow up about the Urban Immersive Franchise Network, 2 resources. First, urbanimmersive.com, the franchise page, urbanimmersive.com/franchise. Watch our first show that Francois did with me. We covered half the services. Just Google WGAN TV Live at 5, Intro to Urban Immersive Real Estate Photography Services. It'll really give you a good hour talking about a lot of the services. We didn't cover the ERP platform in that first show. We covered that today. You can also email franchise@urbanimmersive.com. For Francois in the greater Montreal, Quebec, Canada area, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum in Atlanta, and you've been watching WGA